Hi, my name is Nile Rodgers, which is a combination of a river in Africa and a fantastic composer. People say I have a lot of bass in my voice for such a skinny person, but it has been that way since I was a child. I was born in New York City, where my mother and me had strange but interesting lives. When I was a teenager, I became a professional musician. My first real job was touring with a then new TV show called Sesame Street. Next, I worked in the house band at the world famous Apollo Theater in Harlem. Around that time, I met Bernard Edwards. He too had a lot of bass in his voice, and he also played bass guitar. He was one of the best musicians I have ever known. We formed a production company called the Chic Organization Limited and wrote, produced, and played songs for Ashford and Simpson, Luther Vandross, Chic, Norma Jean Wright, Sister Sledge, Diana Ross, Carly Simon, Teddy Pendergrass, and Debbie Harry. After a bizarre event called Disco Demolition, we disbanded the organization, but Bernard and I continued to work individually with Duran Duran, Madonna, Rod Stewart, The Power Station, Robert Plant, ABC, Ronald Isley, Nona Hendrix, Jeff Beck, David Bowie, the B-52s, Depeche Mode, Slash, Cyndi Lauper, Peter Gabriel, Jody Watley, the Thompson Twins, Mick Jagger, Eric Clapton, the Vaughan Brothers, INXS, Paul Simon, Hall & Oates, Laurie Anderson, Sheena Easton, Grace Jones, Al Jarreau, Brian Ferry, Sting, Eddie Murphy, David Lee Roth, Narda, Michael Walden, Mick Ocasek, Mariah Carey, Britney Spears, Joss Stone, Maroon 5, David Sanborn, Bob Dylan, Michael Jackson, and many others. Chic reformed at my birthday party in the early 90s at the China Club, New York City, where Bernard Edwards, Paul Schaefer, Fonzie Thornton, Alpha Anderson, and Lucy Martin jammed. Chic did a record, and Prince promoted us in his Sexy Mother video. We toured in Japan, where Bernard passed away after the last show. I never thought I would play any Chic music without him. 1 year later, a Japanese promoter asked me to play Chic music in tribute to Bernard. It inspired me, and ever since I have played Chic music more and more. Now, I'm ready to feel the gentle rain of live dance music wash over my soul again, and I want you to come along with me. The music business has changed, but the funky party people are still here. Let the rain begin.
Thank you.
Well, Nile, you have a big announcement today, right? He's producing a amazing festival called Freak Out Let's Dance Festival. It's going to be on August 4th and 5th in Riverhead, New York.
Yes.
What can you tell us about it?
It's going to be amazing. We have, well, I probably have to read everybody off a list, but we have Pharrell, Beck, Chaka Khan, Duran Duran, Janelle Monáe, Chic, of course, Eric B., Chuck D., Q-Tip, Chaka Khan, Chaka Khan.
Come on.
Chaka Khan. Paloma Faith, who is insane. She's incredible. New artist named Allegra Snow Allegra, actually. Who else? It's huge. It's a massive show. Right, Keith Urban. Jesus Christ, I'm making a record with the guy. Just like every day already. I'm like, come on. Is that it? Keith Urban? Who else? Oh, no, what am I talking about? No. We have GTA. We have Slander. We have all these cool DJs. Anyway, it's an amazing show. And sorry, I can't remember everybody. What did somebody say? Paul Simon? No, that's not this year. But no, it's going to be extraordinary. And we did this a couple of years ago at the same location. I'm in New York. I was just born a couple of blocks away from here. And a lot of people, myself included, we don't know that much about Long Island. Just so you understand, it's like so easy to get to. This gig, right when the highway ends, when you get to the fork where you have to go to the north or the south, you go to the south to go to the Hamptons, you go to Southampton and blah, 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 and you wind up all the way out in Montauk. Well, right there where the highway ends, if you just take a left turn, 1 block, and then go 3 blocks, bingo, you're at my festival. It's easy as hell to get to. So I always say to people, it's sort of like the beginning of the Hamptons. Technically, it's not, but for us guys in New York City, that's where it is. It's ridiculously easy to get to. It's going to be an amazing mashup of all of these acts that I've been working with, and it's going to be unlike anything you've ever seen before. People have probably seen me perform with Pharrell. Last week, I performed with Chaka Khan. Duran Duran, I've performed with a gazillion times. Oh, and by the way, I just finished producing Duran Duran's new album, and it's killing.
Yeah.
It's really great. I worked on it with Mark Ronson and Ben Hudson. It's just fabulous. I'm really proud of the guys. What else? I got a new Chic album coming out. I'm working with Keith Urban. I'm working with Nicky Romero. I'm working with Disclosure. I'm working a lot of people. It's all life is great. So
well, you know, the theme of the festival is Let's Dance, and there's a lot of cool R&B artists, and it's a little surprising to see Keith Urban among that list of people.
You know what? This is the funniest thing in the world. Earlier this morning, I did an interview with a journalist, and he says, just like that, he says, Keith Urban, isn't he country? And I said, Nile Rodgers, isn't he black? I said, believe me, Keith Urban is funky and ridiculous and an amazing musician. And what difference does it make that he comes from country? If you heard what he and I are working on right now, I'm like more proud of this record than many things I've done in my life. I mean, playing with Keith Urban is artistically and spiritually rewarding, like playing with Bowie or Jeff Beck or Stevie Ray Vaughan. The guy is a monster, sings his face off, and loves what we're doing. It actually feels like one of the most comfortable partnerships I've had in a long time.
He's also an incredible guitar player, too.
He's ridiculous. He's insane.
Player. Yeah. You're going to be playing with your band Chic. I saw these guys play about 6 months ago, and it was literally one of the best bands I've ever heard live. I mean, it was so good. But I hear you're also going to be maybe joining in with some of the other people on the bill.
Yeah. So part of what we love to do, if you've ever been to a Chic concert, we love to have other people jam with us. We're a completely live band, so we don't really have, secret backing tracks and Pro Tools playing in the background and auto-tune to fix my vocals. If we sing out of tune, we sing out of tune. It's live music, big deal. I mean, I'm not going to die if I hit a bad note, and I don't think the audience is, well, maybe they might boo, but but they just boo, like my doctor said, it'll just hurt for a minute. They just boo for a second because then we'll smoke. So the reason why I've chosen this very eclectic lineup is because what I've tried to explain to promoters is that it's the music that binds us together, right? Everybody thinks it's the genre. Now, yeah, it's true. We all have affinity groups that we're down with, like especially when we're young. But think about it. I'll be the first to admit, when Britney Spears and records like that came out, I may not have been 19 years old and down with Britney Spears, but the records were awesome and I liked them. So if I happen to be at a show and Britney Spears was playing, I'm not going to go to the bathroom. I want to hear it. So my rap has been, let us different artists play together and you will start to see what I've actually seen with my own two eyes. Nobody knows what I do. I've been one of the most anonymous people since I've been in the music business. Like I sit on airplanes next to people, and they'll be playing a song, and I'll get really happy for a split second and go, oh, my God. I wrote that when I was like 24 years old. And the person look at me and go, you wrote what? Hey, that's my song. It's like I'm Coming Out by Diana Ross. And I go, you wrote I'm Coming Out by, yeah. Who are you? Don't worry about it. It's cool. But I promise you I did it. Well, my name is Nile Rodgers, which won't mean anything to you because you would have known that already. So I'm accustomed to being anonymous. It's perfectly fine with me. But what I do know is that when people hear us play all that music, they love it. They don't usually all they do is go, I didn't know he did that. I didn't know he did that, but they still have a good time. I guarantee you when people see Beck and Paloma Faith and Keith Urban and Pharrell and Chic and everybody, you're going to go, damn, I forgot Beck did Loser. That's one of my favorite songs. I may not have bought it, but I like it when I hear it.
And they'll see all those connections between all the different kinds of music, and how it's all pulled together, whether it's rock or hip-hop or EDM and all that.
These are labels that I understand. I really do understand how you have to create these, I guess it's like sections in a library, whatever, mystery, drama, or whatever, horror, but the fact is that it's entertainment and art, and we're all artists that are out there on that stage, and when you see us performing together, nothing is more natural than me standing next to Beck, or me standing next to Keith Urban, or me standing next to Janelle Monáe. She just sang on the new Duran Duran record and is killing. She's singing on the new Chic record and is killing with Elton John. Killing, just absolutely spectacular.
Some people would sort of dismiss dance music, though, as being disposable. But, what are those people missing?
Look, I look at it like this. The other day, I was with Elton John, and we were talking about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I've been nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame 9 times and not gotten in. And
this is the year we changed that. This is the year we changed that.
You feel like me. I think that's an accomplishment. I think I'm trying to be the most nominated, and I want to be the Susan Lucci of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I'm serious. It's like, I try and explain to people, I don't do this art because I'm trying to get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or win a Grammy or any of that stuff. You never, at least I don't, never think about that when I'm writing music. I only think about that when somebody brings it up and I go, oh, right. I'm right. I'm not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Well, every time the voting comes up and I look at how they have my accomplishments listed, I was like, well, my own mother wouldn't vote for that guy. Like, it's the worst. It is the worst. Like, it's horrible. They list a song that didn't even sell, and I say to myself, well, how about this? There is no one in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that's had a #1 record 3 times. I'm not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Guess what? I had that same thing. Same song go #1 3 times. The Beatles never did that. Le Freak, Freak Out. When #1, Barbra Streisand knocked us out, we went back to #1. Someone else knocked us out, we went back to #1. No one has done that, but I'm not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but they are. They're like, okay, cool, I'll be in that group.
You've played with so many people. I was reading that you actually once jammed with Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, down the block from here.
Can you tell me something about that? Being really curious.
I dropped acid, so I can't tell too. I can't tell too much about it. But what's funny is I was writing my autobiography, and I was trying to call as many people as I could remember who were in that room that night. It's really, really, really funny. So here's the best I can make of it. It was snowing. My band had just played at the bitter end, and it was snowing so badly that the subways had stopped running because some of the trains, as we well know, are elevated after a certain point. So at that time, I was living in the Bronx, and my train wasn't running. So we're like, damn, what do we do now? So we walked over to this nightclub / recording studio where a lot of the people who lived down in the village and hung in the village, went to party every night. So we walked into this joint. A friend of mine was supposed to go with me. He didn't show up, so I took my acid and his. Seemed like the right thing to do at the time. So now I'm there tripping my brains out. I'm like on a whole nother world, but everything is great. We're all having such a great time. And then I see this guy named Velvet Turner, which none of you will probably know, but Velvet was Jimi Hendrix's best friend down here. And he would only wear Jimmy's clothes, like his secondhand clothes. So he talked like Jimmy. He would go, hey, now, man, how you guys doing, man? Yeah, man, that blimpie is not so groovy, man. That pizza from Ray's is not exactly happening tonight, man. But, we were all kids. We were 6th Avenue, 11th Street. We were those kids. I went to PS 41 right down the block. So we were all buddies like our whole lives. So he walks in with Jimmy, and we notice it. And so Jimmy starts playing with us all. And it was not quite as many. It was like about that many people, and we're all jamming. And this was the day of what we used to call you see Spinal Tap? This was our freestyle jam. So we're all like jamming.
Jazz Odyssey.
Yeah, right, man. So we're all jamming. But it was incredible because we were sort of moving like a flock of birds. No one was running into each other. Everybody was just moving smoothly, or at least that's what it felt like in my brain. And then finally, after this thing, we hit a sort of point where it was like a decrescendo, and the music just goes silent, and it's now early in the morning because I could see the sunlight coming through the blackened doors, and you hear Jimmy's voice go, "Hey, man, did anybody record that?" Of course not, because the engineer was jamming with us. So it was one of those things. It was a great night. So I called everybody, and if you read my autobiography, you can see me. I named all the people who were there, and every time I called somebody, they were like going, I said, I think this is actually on videotape, because this was the early days of videotape, and there were famous video artists here called Woody, a guy named Woody Valsuka, and he was the man, and he had humongous cables going across the room. And I said, I'm pretty sure Woody Valsuka has that jam. So I tried to track him down, and then the next thing, the closest I got was that he had moved to Arizona or something, and then the trail just stopped cold. But I have a pretty good account of that night, but it's sort of secondhand. So at least it's true, because they weren't nearly as high as me. Sorry.
Nile, you mentioned just briefly that you're working on a new record. Is that your record or Chic record? Can you talk about that?
Yes. So I'm just finishing up my own album, Chic. As a matter of fact, I'm very proud to say that we just went #1 yesterday or the day before yesterday in Billboard magazine on the. Yeah, our new single went #1 on the dance charts, which blew me away. I'm like, wow, like 20-something years between #1 records. And so now I'm trying to finish up the album, which is coming out great. But the problem is that because I have so many distractions, so many other projects that I'm working on, I can't finish my own record. As I said, I'm doing the thing with Keith Urban, just finished Duran Duran. Can't believe they're going to probably come out before me now, because they're done. But I have a great record coming out in a few days with Kylie Minogue and Jake Shears from Scissor Sisters and Nervo. It's great, really great record, and a bunch of stuff. So,
are we going to hear any of the new material when you play at the festival?
Oh yeah, you'll definitely hear that.
Cool.
Remember, like if you look at the roster, it's a huge amount of artists that I have playing. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to offer you something that is a once in a lifetime experience, where you see different people sort of mashing up live with each other. And I mean, it's like every day I keep getting calls from different people. So now we've had to erect a DJ tent, and we have a bunch of really great classic DJs. And I did an interview earlier today, and we tried to get Big Daddy Kane on the phone. It was hysterical, because it was his old phone number. Like the dude was saying, man, I got Kane's number. So we played it, and it gave out his email address on the air. I was like, hey, come on, man, what are you doing? But then they called me at the end right before I was leaving and said, no, here's his new number. Call him up. So we have like real classic hip-hop DJs, like Chuck D. I'm trying to get him to bring all of Public Enemy. And it's like what we're really trying to do is show the world that we all love each other and that it works. I keep telling the artists that I want my Live Aid photo. When we did Live Aid back in '85, one of the greatest days of my life was being in that photo with Richie Havens and Joan Collins and, and all these people that I've looked up to all my life. My childhood is and they're looking at me as a peer somewhat. Because if anybody can remember this, if you get a chance, go online and watch Live Aid, watch We Are the World. So I'm the young guy, right? We're 1985. I just did Madonna. So I'm there with Eric Clapton and all these big superstars. So right before we do the show, Lionel Richie pulls us aside and he gives us this big speech about, look, man, the guy who's mixing the sound is way out in center field. So we have a series of microphones. So when you go up to sing your part, don't pull the microphone out, because Bob Clearmountain who's my engineer, by the way. He's telling me my own engineer. He said Bob Clearmountain's going to be confused and think that you're over here, and he's going to turn that one up because obviously they're keeping all the microphone volumes down so they don't just pick up the sympathetic noise of the band. Watch that video if you get a chance. It's hysterical because so what happens is that we play the intro. Paul Schaefer goes do 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 bum bum dun 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 dun. Boom, we come in with our shit. Here goes Lionel Richie. He tells everybody, don't take the microphone. Lionel Richie goes, pop. There comes a time. Like, well, Lionel, you're moving off your spot. So the next person who's supposed to come in is Harry Belafonte. He comes in, but you don't hear his voice because Bob Clearmountain obviously turns up the microphone that Lionel is standing next to because he's got a handheld mic. But Bob can't tell from way out in center field, and it's hysterical. So Eric Clapton gets a little bit pissed off and plays louder than you've ever heard in your life. And, of course, everybody thinks it's me because I'm the new guy all excited about being out there with these big, huge stars. But I'm reading the chart, so I'm, like, just doing what I'm supposed to do. Get a chance, check out Live Aid. It's hysterical. Now that you know the real story, you'll see all these big superstars look back at me and go, and I go, anyway, our festival won't be like that. It'll be very controlled and wonderful and a lot of love on the stage. But the point I was making about the photo is when you see the photo of us all backstage at Live Aid, it's everybody from every music genre, and it's just absolutely wonderful. And dance music changed my life. I used to be a jazz snob. You know, I grew up in this area, nothing but jazz clubs. My parents were heroin addicts. When I got turned on, oh, wow, I've never been able to say this. So when I got turned on to dance music was 1 block away on Broadway and H Street at some disco. It's unknown. I don't even know the name of the disco, but it became Steak and Brew or roast beef. It became Steak and Brew and then something else. But I walked in and I heard Donna Summer singing I Love to Love You, Baby, and my whole life changed that night, 1 block away.
I was going to ask you, what is the first record you ever bought with your own money?
I don't remember, but I do remember the first record that was ever bought for me. It was Elvis Presley's Blue Suede Shoes, and I was about 5.5 years old, and I got the blue suede shoes to go along with it. It was the coolest thing in the world. And my grandmother put the shoes on me and says, now go dance for the company. So I did. It was like Forrest Gump. Go dance. And so I went out and danced for the company with my blue suede shoes on. And I think at that moment, I was destined to become a musician. So, you know I'm very long-winded, and they said that the audience was going to.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't want to, like, step on their toes and run out of time. Because I'll be talking forever. I got a gazillion stories.
Right over here. Sure.
Do we have a person who's running the mic?
Hey, how you doing? First of all, your book is amazing. I was
Thank
wondering,
you.
do you think, as I was reading it, I kept thinking to myself, like, this would be a great off-Broadway or Broadway musical, because you know they have Carole King, the Beautiful Show, and all these other shows.
Just stop. I'm writing it right now.
Amazing.
I'm writing it right now.
All right, yeah.
Sit down.
I'll take it.
Thank you so much. Believe me, it took 4 years out of my life to write that book. And believe me, just to get that story about Hendrix took like a couple of months.
With the Fold Festival and Land of the Good Groove record label, do you find yourself getting more into like a curating role now, as along with the creating?
Great question. Yes, I've done this a few times. The way that the Fold concept came out, Freak Out, Let's Dance, it basically started out, and it still is, it's the Freak Out Festival. So this one just happens to be Freak Out, Let's Dance. But I did Freak Out in Montreux about 3 years ago with Mark Ronson, Grace Jones, Jesus. It was a huge lineup. We had 11 hours of music. And what I was trying to do was I was trying to imitate a disco in a live setting. So as soon as one band stopped, the next music would come right in. And it's a stupid concept, but I have a weird condition where I'm always hearing music. And I walked into that disco down there on the corner, and it was the first time in my entire life ever that I heard continuous music outside of my own head. And I thought it was the most magical thing ever, because the DJ would go from one song to the next, so there was never any pause. Like prior to that, a jukebox or whatever, or the band would finish the song and then go to the next song, but everything stopped. The record would stop, but in a disco, in those days, and in these days, the music just didn't stop. And I was like, I want to be a part of that world. And my girlfriend and I, we would dance for like hours and hours. We were looking at all the people doing the hustle, so we started to imitate them. We probably looked silly, but we got it down in a minute. And so there you go.
This question is from Periscope. Because of you've worked with so many different people, when you see, or if you've watched shows like American Idol or The Voice or things like that, do you ever see an artist or a contestant out there and you're like, oh, they're really good, I'd like them to sing one of my songs, or somebody gets voted off that you don't think should get voted off, or vice versa? Do you watch shows like that, and what do you take of those people?
Yeah, this is going to sound really weird because all of these people are my friends. I've never seen American Idol from the beginning to end, even though I played the show the other day. I never have. I don't watch regular network television that much, and it's because of what I just talked about. I always have music in my head, so I like noise, but I don't like television commercials that much. So if I could watch a movie that I know, the familiarity of hearing dialogue and music that I know sort of becomes soothing. It's like sometimes people like to put seashells or something like that, or have white noise. Anything that's familiar to me sounds like white noise, and it's comforting. So I turn on films and stuff that I know. I honestly never, ever seen The Voice in its entirety or American Idol, even though I did judge. I did mentor some kids the other day at American Idol. It was great. I had a good time. And even the show that I played on, I didn't even see my performance.
We have time for 2 more questions.
I don't know if you can see me, but it's kind of a 2-pointer here. You have an impressive catalog. I mean, I realized first off from like Pharrell, but then as you're mentioning all these things, I'm like, wow, all these other songs, that I actually remember. And, some of it's past my time, but some in the generation I kind of have like a older soul. But point being is this. Have you ever had an opportunity to work with somebody or seen somebody who you were like, this person needs to be on my song? And has there ever been an opportunity where you've declined someone because maybe you didn't feel it was the right fit, or maybe because you felt like it was something I should keep on my own and put that for my song?
Okay, I'll answer the second question first. No, that's never happened to me. I've never said this person is wrong. Because almost every record I've ever done in my life is like what I'm doing now with Keith Urban and what I'll be doing in a few weeks at Fold with Beck. I run into the person, we talk, we go, wow, I really like you, let's go make a record. I don't really have any arranged marriages, and it's because I've been so lucky in that my very first record was a hit. So I was signed to a singles deal, and my first record was a hit, and then my album got picked up. The album was a hit. Then I did another record. That did well. Then I did Sister Sledge. That did well. Then I did my next Chic album and wrote the biggest song in Atlantic history, Aw, Freak Out. And it was like, so I could actually do what I wanted to do, which is a huge gift. So the records that I make that are hits and the records that I make that are flops all have happened the same way. We just love each other. We do the best job we can. We meet each other. I met Bowie in an after-hours club. I met Madonna at a roller skating rink. I met Duran Duran opening for Blondie. I met In Excess opening for Daryl Hall and John. I mean, we just meet, and we dig each other, and we make the record. So, no, I never didn't think anyone was good enough based on their talent, because everyone I work with I think is amazing. And I've never chosen anyone just because they were amazing. I chose them because we had a connection. And I think that however good you are, if you're good and I'm good and we're cool together, we make each other better.
How you doing?
Does that make sense? Okay, cool, thanks.
I was just wondering if you had any explanation as to why some people have like a moment of brilliance, like a one-hit wonder, and other people have much more longevity, like yourself.
Why does the sun rise? I don't know. It's just the way, I have no idea. Look, I have many more flops than I have hits. I do music every day of my life because I love doing it. As much as I enjoy talking to you guys right now, because, boy, I'm long-winded naturally. As a record producer, you sort of have to be. But I'm sitting here dying because I'm in the middle of a record with Keith Urban, and I can't wait to get home and finish that shit. I'm dying here. All I'm doing while I'm talking to you, in my head, this song is going around and around and around. It could be a hit. It sounds amazing to me. He and I playing together is like heaven, but I don't know if that's going to be a hit. And usually, I guess when you talk about longevity, what you're really talking about is success. Because a lot of people do it for a long time. I mean, I could talk about a lot of my friends that are brilliant, you know, Sting, Paul Simon, all these guys that are fantastic, but they don't necessarily have hit records, but they're still big stars. So when you say longevity, I guess you're probably talking about like a person like Madonna, who's still older and on the charts and competitive. She's probably the only person I know her age as an artist, except for me. No, I just that's still competitive. And I think the only reason why I get that I'm sort of competitive, because I'm not that competitive. I just write so much music that every now and then, boom, I get lucky every now and then. But there was 50 other records that didn't happen. It's just because I love doing it. I just can't stop working. I don't want to stop working. I love it, love it, love it. Getting it wrong is the thing that helps me get it right. So I never get bummed out when I get it wrong, or at least not bummed out very long.
Well, I think everybody here wants to see you keep going, and we're digging everything that's going on right now. And thank you for joining us today. And once again, everybody, make sure that you come down August 4th and 5th to Nile's fantastic
Freak Out Let's
Dance Festival in Riverhead, New York. Thank you.
You see, the thing is, let me just do another quick shameless plug. We did this 2 years ago, and many of my friends who are big, gigantic superstars and the heads of agencies, and they've been to everything. You can't impress these people, said that it was the nicest festival they've ever been to, because as most of you know who've ever been to festivals, it's a pain in the butt to get to. It's like a hassle. You know, New Yorkers, we don't want to get rained on, and like none of that stuff. So I've done everything in my power to make it so easy. If you drive and you got a ticket, bang, your parking is free. You don't even have to wait. You just show it, go right in. If you don't drive and you're on the LIRR or the Jitney or something, you just show that ticket and they say, come on, pal, hop on in. It's like, you know, we thought it out because that's not my main business. I don't have to make a living doing concerts. I'm doing this because I love it. I love the people. And I get to record with Beck and I get to record with Paloma Faith. Like 2 years ago, I got to record with Avicii and Adam Lambert, and we had a blast.
In other words, it's going to be the party of the year, right?
I think it's going to be amazing and great. And the reason why I've been so insane for the last, a little over 4 years is because I was diagnosed with extremely severe cancer. And they were, it didn't look very good. And they were, my doctor was telling me to get my affairs in order and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, get my affairs in order? Oh, I got it. You mean write a whole bunch of songs and do a whole bunch of concerts? So that's what I did. And one of the first things we did was write Get Lucky. So in a way, I thank my doctor because that was pretty damn orderly.
Thanks, Nile.
Anyway, thank you guys so much for indulging us.